Hello again, everyone, and welcome back. Well, Super Tuesday is behind us, and I'm kind of surprised, or maybe I shouldn't be, that Bernie Sanders didn't do as well as I thought he would, or frankly, I hoped he would. The Democrat establishment got together and just squeezed him out. There's no other way of putting it. And Joe Biden looks like, he looks like the guy to beat now. Here's the numbers. Biden has 399 delegates. Bernie has 322. Bloomberg has 45. Elizabeth Warren has 42, and Tulsi Gabbard has 1. Michael Bloomberg dropped out, and I've been hearing lately that Elizabeth Warren might drop out as well. So they still have 536 delegates to go, and so that's where we're sitting. What's interesting is that the Democrat establishment was able to control things that well. I was kind of surprised at that. I didn't think they'd be able to, but they did. And you know, they were terrified that Bernie Sanders was going to come in and upset their apple cart, and so they rallied around Joe Biden of all people. But they didn't have much to choose from. I mean, who else they got? You know, so Joe Biden is it. You know, frankly, I don't think Joe Biden is going to be very much of a threat to Donald Trump. It's just not going to happen. And I'll give you a few reasons why here. You know, I don't know what's going on in Joe Biden's head, but the man just seems to be like, you know, the lights are on, but nobody's home. He's just not, he's not quite all there. It might be all that Botox, you know, he has Botox in his face like Nancy Pelosi. You got all that Botox, and maybe Botox makes you say stupid stuff. You know, God knows that Pelosi's always saying silly things. You know, I hate to attribute it to their age because, you know, they're not that much older than me, you know, 5, 6 years. But come on, you know, you know, I think Biden's 77 and Pelosi's right up there at 77 or 78, somewhere in there. But yeah, like I say, Biden isn't quite all there. You know who he reminds me of? When he starts doing this thing, you ever seen that movie Teachers with Nick Nolte and Jo Beth Williams? If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. It's a pretty good movie. It's kind of a dark comedy about teachers in an inner city school where just the whole system is failing everybody and all the kids are failing. I think this was made in like 1984. And there was like one teacher that he actually died at his desk. And the students are just filing in and out. They go in, they, you know, do their homework, and they leave, or do their work and leave. And it was like, you know, almost all day before they finally discovered the guy was dead. But anyway, it's a bit of a digression. But there's a character in there played by Richard Mulligan, the great character actor, the guy with the animated face. And I really liked him. And he played the part of a guy that had escaped from a mental institution and took refuge in this school. And he became a teacher. And for like a week or so or whatever, he was teaching the kids, and they loved him because he was so much different than the other. He's able to communicate. You know, he dressed up in all these different costumes of famous people in history, and you know, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, General Custer. He did all these things, and but he just had that way of expressing himself that reminds me so much of Joe Biden. Joe Biden reminds me of him. And eventually the guys in the white coats caught up with Richard Mulligan's character and threw in the net over him and took him back to the funny farm. But yeah, that's Joe Biden, Richard Mulligan. And but anyway, what I was saying is that he just strikes me as being just not quite there, and all that, you know, humor and everything is an attempt to cover up for the fact that he knows he's, you know, a donut short of a full dozen. You know what I'm saying? So the second problem that Joe Biden has is he can't keep his hands off women and girls. And so far he's been getting a free pass from the Me Too movement. But that's not going to continue. That's not going. I mean, it kind of is a wash between Trump. You know, Trump has said some stuff about women, so maybe that's a wash. But you know, Democrats are supposed to be holding us to a higher standard. They're supposed to be setting a better example for us than Republicans, at least according to, you know, to hear them tell it. So, but anyway, yeah, he's going to be, the next time he does it, he's probably going to be in trouble, and he'll do it again before November, 2 or 3 times. And the third thing that Biden has a problem with is he's a one-man gaffe machine. I mean, you can look it up. He's got like this whole thing of gaffes as long as your arm. You know, you drop a quarter in the guy, and he'll spit out a gaffe. He says all kind of stupid stuff. And I mean, just to give you one example, he was like in Virginia or somewhere in coal country. And of course, Democrats are all in favor of shutting down the coal industry completely. They want to get rid of all the coal mines, all the coal burning, you know, power plants, everything. Yeah, get rid of coal. It's like big coal, big tobacco. You know, and so you know, you never hear them talk about getting rid of big cocaine, or you know, or big weed, but they're getting rid of big coal. And so Joe Biden says something like, you know, somebody asked him, said, well, how about all these coal miners you're going to put out of work? You know, they're going to be on an unemployment line. And he said, well, he said, if a guy can go 300 feet or 3,000 feet below the ground, you can certainly learn how to code, program a computer. You know, he said, if a guy can shovel coal into a furnace, you can code it. He could learn how to code. And of course, that's a stupid mistake. We know that's just silly. And but anyway, yeah, you can Google his gaffes, and those gaffes are going to be on Republican commercials. You know, they're going to show them political commercials, and then he's got it like a short fuse. Biden does. He says, like, I think it was in. Here it is. I think it was in Nevada, Iowa. It was in Iowa, I think it was. Here, I got Iowa. And he called a guy a liar. Remember that? It was about something. You know, I think it had to do with Ukraine and his son. And he said, well, what about this Ukraine thing? And Biden just came out and called him a liar. And then not too long after that, a few days after that, he's in New Hampshire. And this young lady asked him something about, well, you know, you didn't do so well in Nevada. What makes you think you can do any better in New Hampshire? Anyway, he winds up calling her a lying, dog-faced pony soldier. He's going to be saying some more stuff like that. That's not going to help him. And, I mean, there's a lot of time between now and November. So, but maybe his biggest problem is that the Democrat Party is a party of ideological purity. I mean, you know, no matter how far you're left, somebody's going to try to push you further left. I mean, you can be for something, but they're going to push you to be absolutely 100%, you know, against it or whatever. And so, you know, they're always shifting, pushing, shifting more and more to the left. And don't confuse this with Bernie Sanders' socialism. Socialism is something different than these weirdos. You know, it's a little different ideology. And I mean, some of these socialism, some of these weird crackpot organizations find a home in socialism, but you know, they don't stay there too long. And I'll give you an example. Here was one of these activists, extreme activist organizations, just in Los Angeles, like yesterday or whenever it was. Maybe it was today. Today's Wednesday. And a couple of these anti-dairy people, these, I guess there's some sort of an organization called Direct Action Everywhere. And they're DXE. And they got a real nice website. You look them up, and they're pretty impressive. I mean, it's, you know, looks like a pretty strong organization. But they jumped up on the stage and tried to assault Biden. And Jill, his wife, she physically prevented them from hitting the former vice president. And you know, you ask yourself, well, where was security? You know, I mean, one of them could add a knife or a gun. Come on, you know. But anyway, you know, there are going to be a lot more of these organizations, these extreme left organizations. The climate change people, the perfect example. They're going to be in there. and he's going to be fighting them off. And it's going to be pretty interesting to see. I mean, if Joe Biden comes to Arizona, which he will, I mean, I'm certainly going to go to one of his events. I mean, not to get inside and listen to him so much, just to videotape all the activists on the outside. That will be pretty fun to just give you an idea of what they look like, what they sound like, you know, their slogans, their signs, how they're dressed, you know, the whole thing, how they present themselves, you know, what their message is. So that should be pretty fun. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't see Biden doing, you know, I mean, a lot can happen between now and November, but, you know, I think the game right now in the next few days is who he's going to pick for his vice president. And Warren seems to, you know, think, well, she sticks around long enough, maybe Biden will pick her. But, you know, Warren's problem, Elizabeth Warren's problem is first, she's duplicitous. And second, she was a Republican until 1996, and she was actually quite the conservative, and now she became a Democrat. And then she's involved in this whole Me Too thing, which that's fine. You know, the Me Too thing is fine, a good vehicle for purging the liberal ranks of sexist pigs, but it's not going to play well in the South, or, you know, among minorities. They're not going to pay too much attention to her. This is why she didn't do well. She, what, 18 states, and she never finished higher than third, and she managed to finish third in Massachusetts, and she's a senator from Massachusetts, and she only managed third place. So, yeah, if she's got dreams of being a vice president, I doubt if Biden is going to take her on. She just doesn't bring that much to the ticket. But anyway, I think I'll leave it there and just give you something to think about. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.